So this will be the video on the project that I call Project Atlantis-Circus. It is one of my more futuristic visions. So I would like you to envision a circus family that is basically consisting all of people who are absolute professionals, very elite. It is very high end, from the know-how, the knowledge of the quality of the knowledge. So each person in this family, and they have a strong bonding. They have been going through several team building trainings in order to become that family. Each member has some kind of mastership in some area. A big area is, of course, the entertainment and performing arts area, which is basically my background in my first life. So they are all trained musicians, performers, dancers, choreographers, directors. They have a very good sense of what it needs from the handcraft to be able to perform in a show that really touches you, that goes into the core of your heart. Surrounded they are by technicians and people who are in the, I would say, computer programming scene, who create programs that logistically make things a lot easier. There is a lot of connection also to artificial intelligence. There is a very clear value into bionics. So all the technology that is used wants to be used as a copying of nature, as also a serving of nature. So there is a very clear fusion of high-end technology and biology. So creating systems, water systems, plant systems, growth systems, which are part of that community work. So there is an art department, there is a I would say, electronics department, and the third department would be the science department, connected to health department. So a lot science and healthcare, which are very much connected also to spirituality. And the reason why is because this group of scientists, who, by the way, all also have some kind of a connection to the others. So nobody is an island here. Nobody's just a pure specialist. The artists have an idea and have knowledge of the scientific world and are very open to work with technology. The technical people are very, very, very spiritual, and are super interested in arts. And the healthcare people and the scientific community are very much polymathically interacting with each other. So there are scientifically trained biomedicinal crew members. There are pure scientists who are very spiritual people, who will kind of use their knowledge of science to support their spirituality. And there are biomedicinal crew members who are super interested in constantly developing very nature and human-based arts of medicine, but are not closing themselves off to basically any kind of advancement in technology. So the image that you will have is very much for the people who are working in a spiritual field, with the old cities of Atlantis, old the idea of a higher intelligence coming towards Earth, and kind of creating these beautiful cities that used all kinds of technologies. However, we're super interested in the nature, and we're kind of constantly fusing these things. Would be very much a representation of this community and company. It's a very much a based. It is very much a connection between a very smooth running company. The design, if you want to see it, is very much crystal based. Lots of glass, lots of white uniforms, very similar to what I'm wearing here. It is also structured like the crew of a ship. Also because the very specific project that I'm introducing to you now is can be both. It can be a center, a science center, which when you enter it is full of geodetic, spacey, futuristic buildings in a very beautiful designed garden. So very similar to where we are here. This is kind of a designed garden. It's not my ideal form for this project, but it kind of goes there. Yeah, the people are wearing like white suits. They look a little more like doctors. They have rankings. Yeah, so there are clear rankings. And this structure is held in a very pyramidical form. However, when they come together in circles of spiritual practice, the collective mind is very much tried to be accessed. So they kind of this community very much believes in that structure of the pyramid is just there to hold space and to keep a certain security. However, when they go into higher dimensions through their spiritual practice, they kind of dissolve all this worldly structures, and they go into a field where they collectively try to feel and think and basically channel alike. It has a lot to do with channeling also. So the information that are transmitted through that practice are very much then scientifically worked through, and there is a certain amount of constant documentation. So there is the crew, the art crew, which are basically the ones who bring the science to life. Everything that is documented mostly in the healthcare business is brought into papers. These papers, most of them are written also with the help of artificial intelligence, because they are pretty much constantly published. There is in the art department a very clear focus on constantly publishing the latest scientific paper and knowledges, but they are doing it in a very entertaining way. It's edutainment, if you want. There is of course a department which is purely scientific and where there's just the vocabulary of science. By the way, this community also is constantly trying to create a vocabulary that is more and more compatible with many different kind of scientific fields, because as we know, the science has not one vocabulary. This community sees themselves as a very intergenre, interrated connection, or actually a connection point where many scientific vocabularies can dock on. So mathematics, the old mathematics, the new mathematics, physics, chemistry, biochemistry, biology, all these nature science languages, which in my knowledge are not completely under one language. They do have their term. Each one has their terminal. So biochemistry will not always use the same thing as biology, and physics will not always use the very same things as mathematics. And some terms have been already have been confused a little. So here we are in a very inter disciplinary field, which allows not only to kind of create something within this bubble, but also constantly tries to optimize definitions and concepts with what is there in the world. Yeah. So this entity, this community, is very much connected through internet, through all kinds of communication channels with several universities on this planet. Definitely a lot of very free thinkers. Yeah. So I would say the science department would be very similar to the people you would see on the Gaia channel. You would see people like Greg Braden, Bruce Lipton, Dr. Jody Spencer, the people who have been working with Wim Hof, the people who have been now been interviewed by Joe Rogan, the stuff that Terrence Howard brings to the table. These are the scientists that kind of are the science department. Yeah, so this is kind of, it is already a complete different level of old school science. It is already incorporating lots of dimensions, many layers of where knowledge can come from, and of course still the necessity, seeing the necessity that if you are channeling sometimes out of very high spheres, you still need grounded data to prove of what is basically made up or basically coming through the psyche of the channel and what is really in the field. So to make a clear distinction of that. And of course, all these scientists are trained in several fields. So they have connection to these old scriptures, the old mythologies. Maybe some of them already are connected also to people who can channel knowledge that comes out of space. But they always will put it into a scientific context, and the technicians are there to kind of create an ideal environment for the people to live. So they are very much also connected to, as I said, bionics. So they are very much connected also to biology and plant management. So they will try to really create an environment that is, with the help of technology, as sustainable as possible. They will try to create an environment very similar that we have in an Earth ship. In a very well structured permaculture system, but that works also with very clever programs in the sense of using a lot of knowledge to create as much of sustainable natural environment, but where it is not possible, and in some places on this earth, you just need water systems that go on at a certain time. You need the knowledge of biodynamics, which kind of plants to put where, what has worked here, what is a tradition and what can be introduced. So the clear goal is to create a self-sustainable food, water, and space supply for the community that is working, which is basically the scientists and people from the medicinal community, the artists, and the people who from the, I would even say that these people are the lookouts, the marketing. Definitely, the marketing is connected to the art. Yeah? So the performing arts program is basically creating the income on the on several sides. One is they are kind of very much connected to YouTube and are basically influencing channels. So many artists have their own channel by creating and contributing to the shows, which are basically science edutainment shows. It's basically very similar to what we see on the Gaia channel. Yeah, so it is science, but it is brought through in a very, very entertaining way. And the art department has the clear goal to make the latest papers, to bring them into a show. Yeah, so the show will eventually take place in a venue. For the mobile version, and careful, so that we have two versions. We have a resident version that would be, if we want to have images, this garden and the house and several houses with all the electronic devices that are necessary, would be the resident version. And then there would be also a mobile version, which I call as we say, the Atlantic-Circus, or the Alela Bio Yoga Healing Circus. This is kind of, the Bio Yoga kind of brings us into the other project. That's why I'd rather call it the Atlantis-Circus. So the Atlantis-Circus and the mobile and the version where it is working with mobility is very similar to any kind of other circus that you would have, that you know. It has a tent, it has a caravan. These caravan is they are powered. The trucks and the cars and any kind of trailers that are also in a very cool and futuristic design. So we will try to incorporate solar power, power that is maybe also used with batteries that have been fused kinetically. So the artists and everybody who does workouts in this community and company kind of is working out on machines that constantly fuse electricity, that constantly create electricity, and these are fused into are saved into very, very, very smart batteries. So a minimum on physical workout will create a maximum on energy input, and the way how it is preserved, the energy is also very sophisticated. So we will try to bring in people from from the Tesla technology, from basically all the science department that is really diving into these fields where free energy is possible, where new forms of energy connections are created, will kind of bring in the input for the technological department to create and constantly recreate the logistics of fusing and powering the transportation, making sure that it is, first of all, super sustainable, very green, and ideally in a form that it has no toxic imprint on the environment. So the energy that wants to be used should be as clean as possible, and ideally harvested from the sun, from the wind, so the elements around, and definitely from the kinetic energy that the human beings want to produce anytime, because this troop is quite fit. they want everybody, really everybody works out. Everybody has like at least twice a day physical workout that they do. The food is quite healthy. It is very natural, nature based, and the mobile version of the Atlantis Healing Circus transports basically all the plants and foods in little systems that can become bigger systems. So imagine an Earth ship, and its knowledge, its know-how, put into motion, put into a circus, where every little trailer is a little version of an Earth ship that is actually on wheels. And the important part is this water system that is constantly going through plants, so that will kind of grow, so that it is very, very sustainable. But these little, maybe even glass houses, I think that the trailers will have a lot of natural light coming in, so there will be quite a few elements of purely organic transportation of organic material, including also the of course the toilet system, which will be both water-based and earth-based. So compost toilets. So basically, the crew actually, everything they do and breathe and give and create, yeah, is fueling the project, but also they are documenting it in a form that the lifestyle they are living, as artists, as scientists, as technicians, as a crew, is also basically part of the publications. So there are, on the one side, the topic related things that they are working on, that the scientists are working on, which are always connected to the latest form of holistic health. So biologically, psychologically, spiritually, what is the best lifestyle? What is the best way of thinking, feeling, and working? What kind of devices and instruments can we put into that? And then there is this: how do we live together? What is our, what is going on while we are doing stuff? How are we relating towards each other? What processes are there? Especially since we are quite hierarchical, we are quite pyramidal. There is not so much freedom. If there's definitely the individual space, which is very, very highly valued, and there are those communal spaces where we are trying to completely let go of the ego and really go into these very, very high realms of meditation and spiritual connection. Then we have still this, this technological part, which has rules, so you have to have a certain form of electricity in order to run the computers. You have to be in places where there is signals, where you can have signals to have access to the internet, and the same goes for the plants and the necessary natural environment that natural, it's actually artificial environment, bringing organic material, high-end material like terra preta, really well, as the best hummus, hummus. As I say, it's not the hummus. It's not the thing you eat. It's the soil. Yeah. So soil that has been prepared biochemically in a very, very nature related. So it's very near. We want to be as near to nature as possible, but we cannot, because we are traveling, right? So we are in an artificial environment that has a lot of bionics in it, to kind of be as near to the most healthy natural resources as possible. And then, last not least, there is this art department that will basically make the thing be sexy enough to have a huge followership. So the artists have three, basically, yeah, actually three functions. One function is to create content that is entertaining and keeps quite a bit of a crowd interested, and also ready to donate money, or to just basically building a crowd of people that eventually will become an audience online and offline. Yeah. So very similar how the influencers do it. They create free content that is super intriguing, super nice, quite high quality. People are kind of getting much more than what they pay for, because in the beginning it will be, of course, free content. But through marketing on the influencing channels, through patronizing, and the Patreon pages, and also through live events, the money flows in, and it constantly flows in. And since the content is so intriguing, because it is so connected to these new ways of science, these new ways of thinking, and the awesome inventions that can come from that. They are basically creating the also the necessary budgets to also to basically also fuel the research. And last, this is also part of the community project, the treatments that are offered. So the science, especially the healthcare science department, will be researching better and better forms of treatments for people who are severely ill. And we are talking about cancer. We're talking about all the stuff that has now come up also in the second row of the COVID treatments. People that have been not getting better through the vaccines, but actually worse. They will need extra treatments in a way that is completely new, because the treatments of the vaccines were completely new. So we have to kind of answer on a very sophisticated level. And these patients will not necessarily be treated in the circus, in the traveling circus, but will be kind of treated in the healing centers, which would be something like this garden. This garden actually has been designed for the recovery of cancer. So a person who has basically designed it was recovering from cancer by doing that, and he kind of did a lot of education also on nutrition and healthy movement, and that actually cured him. So you will have the clinics, if you so want, in the gardens, in the resident areas, which also have, of course, a science area and an education and an entertainment area. But the Atlantis-Circus traveling device, the people who are on the road, will not carry patients along. This is just in a very few cases where maybe the patient is really part of this absolute miraculous healing story. So he becomes part of one of the YouTube or the influencing storylines. So they will kind of transport him along, will do all kinds of treatments, will kind of bring him into different environments, different relationships, different plant medicines, and will create a story around him, and ideally create this beautiful story of somebody who came with almost a damaged body, mind, and soul, and through also the journey of the healing circus, being part of this family, being part of something that is super important for him and the world, will become the hero of this healing journey, and ideally then in the end will present himself as completely healed in body, mind, and soul. Yes, I was got off track a little. So the marketing and art department has this very special aspect of creating a crowd. Then they have the aspect of interpreting the scientific research papers. So they are basically the form of making it graspable, making it connectable, feelable, bringing it into a storytelling element where people relate to it. Yeah. And the third aspect of the art department, because it is so connected also to body and to mind, is to also uh, create training programs that serve ideally the three of them. So they will kind of create well, to be honest, this is something that can be done by several people, but it is definitely the artists, especially the performing artists, who have to train every day. Will kind of create something that is necessary for the dancers and singers and actors, but they will create also something that the other departments, the technological department and the science department, can participate in. So they are basically also a little bit running a little bit the social structure, the interconnection, but on the physical level. So they're creating the trainings. You can be part of the dance training, part of the martial arts training, or the meditational. Many of the meditations are also run by the artists, because these artists are not just ordinary mainstream artists. They have a very strong background, like shamans and druids. They have this connection to poetry and music and sound that will create this feeling of being connected to the gods, to the elements, to the spirituality that should be a kind of a fusion of all the members. I'm not quite sure if this is only part of the job of the artist to kind of constantly be in the social interconnection, but I'm quite sure that part of the artist department of training and physical interconnection will include the spiritual cross points. So what are we believing in? The bards will create the rituals, basically the religious practice, which is a very important part of this community, where very much the backgrounds of all the members will be kind of brought into a certain amount of program where the practice kind of fuses and tries to make everybody pretty much feel quite at home. And the reason why they are doing this is to create a constant research on what are our souls of our big families made of? Where are the roots and the ancestors? Where are we connected to? So if people are there who have a background from India, then the Indian mythology will have to have a place. If people are coming from Africa, so the Bantu religions and the Yoruba maybe will have a certain place. If people are coming from Europe, Central Europe, then the Celtic and German mythology will have a place, and this needs to be interwoven into into a certain vocabulary and a certain form of being connected with all these cultural aspects, so that the people who are part of it really feel the connection, or at least their souls, their ancestral part feels the connection. So the artists have quite a bit of an all round and overall connecting job. quite sure that in every of the departments, the social aspect will have like an extra subdivision. So there's in the technological part, they have their tasks that they have to do to run the show and keep things going. They have, of course, also to a certain amount the job of having the technology and the know-how ready, but they also have this necessity of communal communication. They have to be, part of the whole system, and the same goes for the science and health department. And definitely the artists, I see them as the kind of the connection point. Yeah, there was one more aspect in the art department that just came to my mind. Well, talking about religion, and I feel that there has to be a very clear interconnection between the science department and the art department, because the science kind of brings the research and the resources of the kind of the stuff that is legit and real, while the artist creates something that is relatable. Yeah, so very much like in Hollywood. Yeah, you kind of bring in a very, very strong, strong book, like I don't know, the Sumerian tablets or the Bible, and you asked a producer to create a movie that will make people like jaw dropping, that will create emotional connection. So this will be the big thing for the artists, to create something that is relatable, but also spiritually practicable. And yeah, so basically this is part of the art department that will definitely also have different layers of maturity. There will be young people who will be just performing, and then there will be older people who have more the severity, the serenity, and also the maturity of a druid, a shaman, who is really taking care of the community, which is, I think, more based on the logos. It is more based on the mind, but the interconnection to the feminine, the intuitive mind, will be very, very important. And as everywhere in the Alila Bio Yoga community projects, we do have a clear a clear recommendation of masculine energy, feminine energy in different spaces, and a space where it all comes together. So in every department, art department, technological department, and science health department, even there will be men groups and women groups, and the connection of holding space for each other and being in harmony with each other is something that is always present. In this very futuristic Atlantean project, it will have less of a necessity, because everything is very logos based. So everything has a lot of mind. Emotions are there to be looked at. They are there to be observed, but ideally also to switch to become useful. This project does not bother too much with emotional crisis and emotional accompaniment. What is necessary is done, but the people who are running the show are super equipped already to be able to deal with their emotions. They are very professional. They are very to the brothers and sisters from my hippie community, they would feel cold. They would feel a little distant. Too much Mr. Spock, too much logic. But they keep running the show very, very, very well, and they are very in the sense of creating enough stability, income, and security to be able to very possibly also support and sustain other community projects, which I will then do an extra video on. So the Atlantean project, as I said, is open to a lot of artificial intelligence, a lot of also now I'm going to say something very, very dangerous, also to transhumanistic observation. Yeah, this is it is it is pro-life, it is clearly pro-human, and pro connection with the environment and making the best relationships. This doesn't change. The value of that is very high. The value of a good communication between feminine and masculine is very high. However, there is no fear of trying things out that go into putting chips into your body, seeing how this reacts in a very controlled way, in a very definitely with a department that is completely pure and does not do anything that is connected of insertion of digital devices or whatever, and some of them who very much are. So very possibly in each department there will be like the transhuman experimentators. I don't want to use the word guinea pig because it's just devaluating. But there are these this brave young men and women who say, yes, I want to know. I want to know if something in my when it's implanted gives me access to parts of my brain that I couldn't have access to. I want to know this, and I want to be part of this observation process. And then there will be a few of the members who will say, I will be, trying to access all that technological offer by not using it. I will be completely, staying pure in the sense of not being plugged in anywhere. But I'm part of this very digital world too. I'm still, being part of the interviews. I'm broadcasting. We are connected to everything basically that is, held responsible for communication with the world. Yeah. So this is the Atlantean Circus project. There will, of course, be a necessity because this is dealing in a lot of areas that are very, very controversial and are very much will be looked upon as a danger and as something that is very much challenging the thoughts of modern economy, modern pharmacy, modern society, and also modern thinking. Not in the sense of modern, but like traditionally, like mainstream modern. So there will be we will have to have in this project there will have to be a department or at least a preparation which puts the whole project into very safe and secure hands from the juridical point of view. So that definitely we will need a bunch of lawyers or people who are really good with international law to create a base for the circus, which is not bound by any kind of censorship. So either it is just a science or a cultural program in a country that is very free and gives diplomatic immunity to the people using this project as basically their transportation vehicle, who are actually traveling from country to country or from community to community or from science department to science department. So while they are on tour, very similar to ships in open waters like the Atlantic Ocean, which don't have a certain national authority. The crew members and the captain sail under a certain flag, which ideally gives them the authority that wherever they rent out space to build up their circus, which will be a huge geodetic tent with quite a few also projections and quite multimedia, but lots of natural resources, so lots of plants being part of this, plants who ideally don't bother with the electricity. That is something that has to be researched, because there are plants who can sustain that. That would be kind of the big biggie, that we have like bees and insects kind of in an environment where there is projections and projectors and even drones flying around, and the connection to an internet that is fast, in a way where maybe the 5G does not affect so much, or is kind of transmuted onto a different frequency. So this is the part. This is the department of the technicians, to create something that is super sustainable and influential, for in a positive way for everybody, but still can use all the technology. Yeah. Got off track again. This happens in these kind of videos. We have the. I'll wrap it up. So we have the huge tent, the geodetic tent, where all the performances and the fairs are happening. So you can imagine people will come and enter this circus state. This basically this. Oh, this is what I wanted to say. Yeah. So once you enter the area of the circus, which will be the trailers. Think about it as a little bit as Transformers. So each trailer kind of is an element that will create the big tent. So they are connected around a space that has all this technological, smart know-how, how to create the water flow, the biological system. So once the trailers go into formation, so yep, the tent goes up, the atmosphere is created, the plants go in, then of course the stage and the place for the people to watch goes in, and after the show there is a fair where all kinds of products are presented, lots of products that have not maybe been yet on the market, which are want to become some very very influential and very have a big impact on people, and people can of course also come and try those products out. Some of them will be included into the price of the show. Some of them will be able to be rented. Then it can be like little healing spaces, special devices that, and they are all very much you kind of go into a box, and then they have all those lights projected on you and the crystals and blah blah blah. So it's not so much hands-on healing and kind of natural devices, or basically nature medicine. This is all happening as well, but the focus is more on the gadgets. Yeah, basically. So it's like cool sci-fi. Yeah. The crew members, however, they do a lot of natural stuff. They try. Goal is to be as healthy and as developed as possible. So they have the ashram's idea of, I enter this arena in order to get to know myself better and better and become a much better version of myself, is there all the time. The product, however, is edutainment through the science and the health department, and products that increase the health stability of people, also in very severe states. Yeah? And this, now I'm wrapping it around. And once you enter the field, once you enter the territory, you are on diplomatic immune areas. So you go under the jurisdiction of the country that kind of creates this circus as an embassy of their culture, of their medicinal and art culture and technological culture. So basically, the whole troupe, the whole Atlantic-Circus troupe, have the political status of ambassadors and diplomats. The captain of the crew is ideally it's a woman and a man. It's a female and the male energy. In this case, I think the male aspect has the last word because it's all based on the logos, but the female is absolutely supporting, and the male is clever enough to listen to the female, especially when it comes to all the questions for the inner resources and emotional stability. But they are the high ambassadors. Yeah. So politically, this field is not so easy to be censored or broken up. There has to be quite a few diplomatic, like a violent intervention of a show, a violent intervention of a healing process or of a research process through local authorities must have very severe consequences by international law. So this field needs this protection, otherwise it will not be able to function. Yeah, and there already are enough loopholes. I mean, huge companies are using them. Many governments are using them. So basically, this is the preparation which involves a very sophisticated law department. This will be needed to, as setting the field for being part of that that project. As I'm making this project possible, we'll have to have this this very important diplomatic immunity. So people come to see the shows. Some of them might be able also to buy things. And again, here also international law, diplomatic immunity, the money that goes in there must have a clear purpose. It has to go into the research, blah, blah, blah. But it is not under the law of the country where the circus is taking place. Yeah, of course there will be a necessary exchange. People have to be rewarded for the renting out of the space. So money will flow from this diplomatic immune system towards the local authorities, but it is not able. The local authorities are once they have let the people into their country for this cultural project and this research project, knowing very well that they cannot stay there forever. Everything is temporary. However, on the territory, there is a clear authority of that state under which it is. So very similar to an embassy. Once you go on the ground of the American embassy, you are actually on American soil. The same goes for this Atlantic-Healing-Circus. Once you go on that soil, you kind of become a visitor of that country, of that state. Yes. And the constitution of that state is, of course, written on the walls, and the values are written on the walls, and it is very clear also with the flag that you are in a different country. You are especially in a different constitution. This is the super important part. Yes. So this is the big vision. Yeah, almost an hour. I'd rather spend here a little more time because this is also getting it out of my head and having it all said. I might be able to get you a few images. I'll see. Maybe I can research stuff. But usually I don't have so much time. If you have images as a spectator. You actually made it until now, and you kind of see things. Please be so kind in the comments, post links, post your images if they are done with the AI. We don't care. We are not anti-AI. On the contrary, I think we can use artificial intelligence to create better and more sustainable and livable possibilities for our future. I'm not afraid of the robot that takes over. If this is part of our evolution, so be it. But the people who have created environments where the artificial intelligence and the new form of consciousness that wants to have at least the most access of their brain. Yeah. So just to quote Greg Braden, a chip is limited, but a neuron is not. A neuron, when it is used, keeps growing and growing and growing. And what better training partner, what better sparring partner could there be for us conscious people than to see an artificial intelligence creating with a few inputs enormous amounts of work in form of written work or in form of logistics? Why shouldn't that stimulate us with a few images and a few breaths to create the most that is in here, the most possible access? I feel that the being around the AI will be stimulating that much more than just being around people who are very, very only nature bound in the sense of old tribe traditions or just being in nature. Not everybody who just is in nature becomes enlightened. You need stimulus. You need people or things or props, artificial props, to stimulate your desire to really open up. Otherwise, we become very quickly farmers on the land, very happy, all good, yeah, for this kind of project. However, the stimulus wants to become that. And parts of my personality really have the desire to create this fusion. Yeah, you will see that in the other projects, I'm taking out a different kind of personality of my soul, which has a different desire. Yeah, this goes very much along with our philosophy that we have several personalities in us with different kinds of priorities. In this project, the Atlantis-Healing-Circus, the priority is very clearly on enhancing the logos, the mind, and the mind-body through everything that science, the new form of science, the new form of healthcare, the new form of technology, and the new form of art and communication has to offer to create an absolute super version of each human being that is involved in the project and is touched by the project. Yeah, so let's wrap it up. Thank you for listening. This is the first summary of the idea of community and communal work in the Alela Federation. And we call it the Atlantis-Healing-Circus because it is based very similar to what we know of as a circus project and structure. But it is also connected to a certain form of arena that is connected to science and research. And as I said, all these projects are, productive as an entity, but they are also part of a documentation and research project in the sense of how does it work within the members, so within the emotional flow of the community. Yeah, in this case a very hierarchical, very structured, very pyramidical form this will create, of course, a lot of emotional processes because of not being free, because of being so, so logos based. Maybe there will be a lot of desire to, have spaces where you need emotional balance. This is kind of provided through the documentation, but also of course, through accompaniment. Yeah. So thanks for watching, and leave comments, give us your idea of your Atlantean project, how should it look like, and let's see each other in the next episode.